the GM for Ecasa Labs, which is part of the Innovation Hub. We have just listened to a great session that is involving young scientists and also great emphasis of innovation. And it was also good to see Prof. Shelley. I know that she has walked out, and we have worked extensively with her, and also CSIR as one of our partners as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you into this session. I promise that will not take long. I know that this is day 3, and you are getting ready to go home. Without wasting any time, a little background about this session. The discussion will be around Gauteng innovation strategies, which will unpack the GGT 2030 and the emphasis also of revitalization, township revitalization strategy, which means we will get to understand what are these strategies and how they are implemented. What are the importance of the strategies in the era of innovation? You know that during this time, during this these days that we've been in this conference, we've listened to the remarks. This morning I went to the plenary session where the feedback around the startup pitching session. It was, it carried great excitement about innovations, and then the presentations that were coming forth from innovators as well, that were displaying the knowledge of what they are doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, so the theme of the conference, in a nutshell, it's the resilience of Africa is going to be driven by the ability of innovators being creative with ideas that are bringing new solutions. Without wasting any time, as the Innovation Hub, to give you a background of how we came up with the session, we had to put together the session. We invited these esteemed panelists, Mr. Motlasho Makapia, Chief Director, Agro-Processing from GDAT, welcome, and Ms. Sibahle Dile, Acting Senior Manager, Bioeconomy from the Innovation Hub, and Mr. James Sehoa, Area Innovation Manager, Ecasa Labs, and part of the Innovation Hub as well, which is township-based incubation program. You're going to get to know more about it, how these young innovators are supported. And Mr. Philip Siboza, Director of Raw Liquid. I'm sure some of you have been going to the exhibitions. You might have seen his stand where he was displaying his product, and he's going to share with us how he has benefited from the strategy of township revitalization strategy, and also as a beneficiary, how it has helped him from moving from A to B as a young innovator in the sector of bioeconomy. So as we prepare for the slides, the first slides, may welcome Mr. Motlasho Makapia to the podium. Thank you.
Morning. Thank you, Program Director. I'm not sure if the presentation is coming through. I am going to speak about as the Program Director has already indicated, just to talk about the Growing Gauteng Together 2030 strategy. No, that's not the one. The Growing Gauteng 2030 strategy is the NDP equivalent of the province, specifically outlining the growth objectives of the province, and in essence identifying the 10 high growth sectors that we need to invest in. And what is of significance is that 3 of those high growth sectors are the core of bioeconomy, are the core of the revitalization of bioeconomy of Gauteng. And with Gauteng in terms of its economic capabilities, therefore catalyzing the bioeconomy of the country. Okay, so that's the right presentation. So I suppose we are much familiar with the challenges of Gauteng as a province, its economic capacity. So what we are doing through the GGT in particular is mainly to catalyze and try and address the unemployment problem that we have through ensuring that, and we have set ourselves a target there of actually ensuring that we reduce it by 15% by 2030. We are aware that this is a problem that has been there and increasing, and until we take bold steps, bold interventions, we may not be able to address the challenge. So the Growing Gauteng Together 2030 strategy basically identifies the fact that we need to make an investment of at least $1 trillion rands, such that we can be able to double it by 2030. And reduced unemployment by 2/3, and increase per GDP per capita to be increased to at least 68,000, from 68,000 to currently to 115,000 by 2030. So those are the targets that are outlined in the Growing Gauteng Together 2030 strategy. I've spoken about the high growth, the 10 high growth sectors that we have prioritized, and I mentioned that 3 of them are one is the agriculture and agro-processing, high growth sector, and the other one is cannabis, which includes the pharmaceuticals, and the green economy, which includes the aspects of energy. So those are the 3 high growth sectors that we have identified as the key to really driving the bioeconomy of Gauteng. Representation aspect, we've also highlighted the 5 corridors or 5 regions of the province and identified what each of those regions has capabilities of and what is it that we can augment in each of those regions. The north part, obviously, with the clusters of university that is there, agriculture, agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, R&D hub, the cluster of the CSIR Innovation Hub, UP, and then we have the same for Joburg with the pharmaceutical, Ekurhuleni, more the manufacturing aspect, and with the special economic zones that we are investing in, the ORT, special economic zone, and the Sedibeng as well as the West Rand are mainly in the agriculture and agro-processing as well as the green economy space. In order to be able to understand how we need to revitalize and improve, we need to understand where we came from. And the province had developed the biotechnology strategy back in 2007, which had a very strong emphasis on agriculture, biotechnology. And that strategy had a number of focus areas. One of the focus areas was really to do capacity building, increase capacity building. And province put together a bursary program with the 5 universities of Gauteng, which to date has funded more than 500 students, 500 opportunities that were given, funding opportunities were given to students. It also put in place an internship incentive program, including what used to be the biotech awards that used to take place at the Innovation Hub on an annual basis as a manner of incentivizing and acknowledging expertise that are in the sector, as well as in particular the students, the young ones that were coming through the sector. And a funding program as well for the research was also put in place. The province also worked with the what was public understanding of biotech, and it funded a lot of research projects. It also engaged in commercialization. It funded the development of the first biopark. I think we are now at biopark phase 4, phase 3. The initial biopark, from the conceptualization thereof and the funding of the business plans and the designs and so on, all came from through the department or the province of Gauteng. And today, the growth that we see is much appreciated, and we see the results of those initial investments that were made. I actually brought the book of the former CEO of the Innovation Hub here, the nuts and bolts, for those that haven't engaged with the book, because it actually captures the impact of those strategies in that initial period of 2006, 2007, and the results of them now. Where we are now, I think we are all familiar with the biopark in terms of the work that is doing. So where we are now, we have revised the biotech strategy to be the bioeconomy strategy of Gauteng, and I'm just gonna rush through to it now. Basically, it's aligned to all the national policies as well as the other provincial policies. I need to just rush through to this in the interest of time. Yeah, okay. So there's mainly three things that we want to work on as a department, provincial department, and the main function of government really is to create an enabling environment for industry to be able to develop and thrive. And that is the one major objective that we are trying to do in terms of investing in the or revitalizing of the bioeconomy of Gauteng. The second aspect is to provide innovation support, system support for bio-innovation based knowledge capabilities and technologies that will underpin the innovativeness and competitiveness of the sector. And the third and last main objective is to promote the competitive clusters by supporting the priority bio-innovation projects that have the potential to address the multidimensional challenges of food security, energy security, climate change, environmental protection, and industrial renewal. So these three objectives are what we are utilizing and catalyzing the development of the sector, such that it can be able to provide us with the necessary growth that we need, the growth of the sector, and ultimately the increased contribution to the GDP, as well as the job that we so much desire. So the incentives that are being put by the province entails are looking at addressing again the human capital aspect, the infrastructure aspect, and the knowledge transfer, as well as in particular the financial support. We aggregate our resources as the department. We aggregate our resources together with the agencies such as the Innovation Hub, where we make a contribution for them to be able to support the SMMEs that have been incubated in there as well. And we do the same with the research councils as well, and the universities, in terms of funding the research projects that can be commercialized, that can be used by the sector. The last strategic approach is to promote the clustering aspect. I have already mentioned the aggregation or the clustering, the partnership that we are undertaking along the specific thematic areas. In the case of agriculture and agro-processing, they are in the main 6 value chains that we are working on, from R&D up to commercialization of horticulture, agronomy, the 3 meat products, including the cannabis that we spoke at length about yesterday. I think, Chair, this will be my last, yeah, let me conclude here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Matlota Motlacho. And you know, there were a couple of takeaways that I've taken from that I think that are very important for a young innovator sitting in this audience. And there's some, before I mention this, there's one thing that I picked up from the previous panelist as well, that we had a Professor Shelley, but also she's also an innovator and entrepreneur. So in other words, if you are seated here, you're a young student, and it doesn't stop you as well to be an innovator as well as an entrepreneur. So the words that I've taken from your presentation say, you mentioned about the 3 high growth sectors, which is agriculture, the high agro-processed as well as cannabis, as we know that it's a buzzword for these days, the cannabis, and how do we use it to solve the problems. And also green economy, you made a great emphasis also in that. I would like to steal words from one of the sessions that I've listened to, and then she mentioned the fact that innovation is to solve future problems. If you are solving current problems, you are already late. So in other words, it means that innovation is very fast. You've got to think fast and act fast. Without wasting any time, thank you, Chair, for the words that you've just shared right now. I am going to call to Ms. Sbahle Dile to share with us how are you implementing the strategies in Gauteng? As we talk about regional innovation strategies, how are you implementing this?
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sibahle Dile, and I have a presentation to share with you this afternoon. So I'll give you an overview in terms of you know, our efforts in making the vision of the GGT 2030 a reality within the Innovation Hub, in particular the Bioeconomy unit. So as you may all be aware that we are, as the Innovation Hub, we're a subsidiary of the Gauteng and Growth Development Agency, and we were established by the Gauteng province under the Department of Economic Development. So we are mandated, you know, as an agency of the Gauteng province to implement the GGT 2030 strategy. And our vision as the Innovation Hub is to be a model science park and innovation agency that fosters socio-economic development and competitiveness of the Gauteng province. So we've got several initiatives that contribute to you know, our business incubation programs. We have the bioeconomy, the green economy, and the digital economy, which contribute to the bioeconomy in one way or the other. So I'll just give you, you know, I'll just take you through our value proposition as the bioeconomy unit. So we foster and promote innovation through public-private partnerships, and we provide holistic business development support to the critical areas of the bioeconomy sector, which are your food security and your agriculture as well. So within the bioeconomy unit, we have the biopark at Gauteng Business Incubator, and we envisage, the creation of a base wherein we provide access to state-of-the-art and world-class equipment and facilities for our entrepreneurs. Because as we all know, that one of the critical, entry barriers to the bioeconomy is access to manufacturing infrastructure. So as the bioeconomy unit, or as the innovation hub, we do provide laboratory space and manufacturing space for our entrepreneurs. So we also seek to, share knowledge and exchange of ideas within the ecosystem of startups and SMMEs within our incubation program, and promote cross-fertilization and co-innovation as well within the ecosystem. And we want to provide, we seek to provide thought leadership and business intelligence as well that will help us gain, valuable knowledge in terms of, target markets for our innovators, existing and new opportunities as well, and industry drivers within the bioeconomy sector. We also want to promote innovation at a commercial level, because we understand that with most scientists, they tend to innovate backwards, and not necessarily, they don't identify, problems, well, often they don't identify problems to solve. They tend to innovate out of passion, and without, having that industry foresight. So that's where we come in, to help them take their products to market and, ultimately commercialize at a larger scale. So we also foster communication and collaboration amongst key players in the bioeconomy sector, and we, have a vision to create a one-stop shop, service, business development support service for the bioeconomy cluster. So on the bioeconomy at Gauteng Business Incubator, the incubator was established in 2012 by the Gauteng provincial government, and it was established as part of the implementation of the Gauteng biotechnology strategy of 2009, and also the Gauteng Innovation and Knowledge Economy strategy, which came to pass in 2012. And we are essentially, we're an initiative of the TIH, Ecoli Bio, and the DTIC, and GDOT, and GDT as well. In terms of focus areas, we focus on agricultural biotech, and within that we have your agro-food processing and also smart agriculture. And then there's the health biotechnology, where we look at your biopharmaceuticals, medical devices and diagnostics, IKS, nutraceuticals and cosmeceuticals as well. So as I've mentioned, those are the thematic areas as a bioeconomy. And then some of the drivers or the trends, within these two sectors. I'll start off with the health, include your precision and personalized medicines. You'll see in my presentation later on, I'll just give you an example of some of the technologies, or entrepreneurs that we are supporting within the space. So we also have the rapid and multiple diagnostics, IKS-based products. We did have a session on this, which is largely supported by the DSI. And when you look at the food security side now, we have the green and organic products, minimal processing and whole foods, and functional foods and fortification, and. So all the work that we do is aligned to the National Bioeconomy Strategy, the Industry Policy Action Plan, which is now called the Reimagined Industrial Policy, and the NDP, and the GGT2030 as well. So those are our bioeconomy offerings. So we've got our core, our non-incubation programs and our incubation programs as well. So with our non-incubation programs, we have what we call the Gap Accelerator program and the Coach Lab incubation bioentrepreneurship program and the AgriPark as well. And then within our incubation programs, we have got the business incubation program called the Biopark at Gauteng, where we look at your agri-biotech, health biotech, and IKS-based innovations as well. So just to give you a rundown quickly in the interest of time, so within the GAP, we, as the Innovation Hub, have partnered with TIA and also are in collaboration with the Emory University in terms of the implementation for GAP. And we have two GAP categories, the GAP Biosciences and GAP Medical as well, and these were established about 10 years ago. So the program is aimed at transferring essential business skills to biosciences and medical researchers and empower the establishment of viable startups. And this program is also in line with the need to develop techno-entrepreneurs as part of the bioeconomy strategy. And then we have the Coach Lab Bioentrepreneurship, which is a business skills development program, more for the indigenous knowledge-based. So the target groups there are the indigenous knowledge holders, scientists, and SMMEs as well. And the theme for this program is to transform the innovation ecosystem to make it speak to Pan-African realities through indigenous knowledge systems. And then lastly, we have in terms of our non-incubation programs, we have the AgriPark, which is a secured tunnel for higher value crops within the park. This is implemented in collaboration with GDAD. So this is used by our occupants within the park for extraction of bioactive components, such as protein that they can use, to develop value-added products. And the AgriPark, so that picture really shows you the entire value chain of the AgriPark, from your primary production to processing, and then how it also links, with our innovation competitions that we're running, and also how it links with our incubation program, and to a point where entrepreneurs are able to take their products to market. And then just to give you a rundown of our incubation offerings, so we offer, as mentioned earlier on, access to infrastructure, office space at subsidized rates, manufacturing and laboratory space as well. And moving on to access, we also provide access to advisory and skills development, intellectual property management for some of our entrepreneurs, your trademarking, your patents, and your design applications. And we provide a technical advisory and mentorship support as well. And we also provide access to funding opportunities both internally and for our entrepreneurs within our startup support program, and externally as well, where we facilitate access to finance for some of our entrepreneurs and link them to external development funding institutions. And then lastly, we have we provide access to markets, your market and industry reports. We do industry foresight and competitive intelligence as well, just so that just to prepare and gear up our entrepreneurs as they enter the various markets. And we also provide we also assist with networking opportunities of this nature where they get to exhibit. And then these are some of the entrepreneurs that we are currently incubating. These are not all, it's just a few that we have in our portfolio. We've got Cradleomics, which has developed a pharmacogenomic test to analyze patient DNA for precision medicine. So this test is then used to analyze the patient DNA and enables doctors to, prescribe the right medicine that is suitable to their genetic makeup. So they've received funding through our innovation competition, and they also have established a lab at the biopark. And then we also have Listacho Pharmaceuticals. I'm sure you would have seen them at the TIH stand. So they develop medicine using indigenous medicinal plant that is used as an adjuvant to the treatment of TB. So they also received funding, and we supported them for their clinical research, and also with their negotiations for their license agreement with the University of Pretoria, and the product has now been successfully registered with SAPRA, and they have recently launched. And we also have Lin Organic, which has developed a process of extracting lignin, which is like waste wood from plant waste material using green chemistry. So from this, they have managed to establish their own cosmetic brand using lignin as their main active ingredient and biosurfactants as well. So they've been with us, since 2018. And we've facilitated access to finance for them. They've attended a few business trainings with us, and now we are facilitating business linkages for them. And then we also have AgriSmart Engineering. They're also one of the exhibitors. They're in the cannabis industry, which responds directly, which is part of, as Mr. Motlacho mentioned earlier on, that cannabis is one of the high growth sectors that have been identified in the GGT2030. They are an agri-tech company, and they focus on developing cultivation technologies that are centered around critical cannabis cannabis So their main technological output is a custom LED light, which they use in a closed loop hydroponic system for the purposes of cultivating cannabis. And then we have Cablo Studios, which is in the medical animation space. So they have they have produced 2D and 3D animation digital short films for the medical and pharmaceutical industry. So both these companies have also come through our innovation programs. I think I'll stop there for now. Thank you very much. Here.
Thank you, Ms. Sebahle, for the great presentation. And you've mentioned food security, and it's really important, especially we've seen the climate change, which means food security is going to be very important for our lives. And also it was great to see the amazing work that you do and the support you provide to these innovators with the technologies that you've just shared right now. And huge appreciation to GDAD and with the support that they are providing to Biopark and also to those companies, because ultimately somebody mentioned something about Africa, the richness of Africa, so which means that the great technologies need to come from Africa. I want to steal a quote from Steve Jobs: "Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not as a threat." Without wasting any time, I'm going to call to the full Mr. James Sehoa to share with us how they are supporting young innovators in the township.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Ma'am Notile indicated, my name is James Soa, and I'm the Area Innovation Manager for the ECAC Lab program. In terms of what the ECAC Lab is about, we are a program under the Innovation Hub. And as our name say, we are ECAC Lab. We are found in the townships of Gauteng. So currently we have 13 ECAC Lab centers that are spread across the Gauteng city region. So I'm sure colleagues have seen when Mr. Magapia was presenting on his slide, Gauteng has got 5 city regions. So in all these city regions, you are going to find 3 ECAC Lab at some point. So what we respond to as the program is the challenge that our entrepreneurs in the township have indicated to the government. So the Innovation Hub is headquartered in Pretoria, and it was very difficult for some of our township-based entrepreneurs to reach the Innovation Hub for support. Hence the initiation of a program such as the ECAC Lab. Gauteng as a province, we all know that we've got over 50 million people that reside in Gauteng, and all these people, they came from different areas to Gauteng for opportunities. And in order for Gauteng to meet the demand of the people, they need to come up with the strategies that will allow the economy of Gauteng to grow and continue to provide these opportunities. And our role in that space is we need to create these opportunities for our people. So in terms of the Gauteng townships, currently we've got over 152 townships in Gauteng, and they continue to grow. We see that every day. Land divisions takes place, and more people come to Gauteng. The ECAC Lab program currently services more than 40 of these townships. So if you go into our program, you are going to find entrepreneurs from over 40 of the townships in Gauteng. In terms of companies, we are supporting over 300 companies to date in different forms. In terms of our value proposition, we want to promote and encourage the culture of entrepreneurship and innovation in the Gauteng townships. That's what we want to achieve. The objective so far, we want to change the face and the look of the township entrepreneurs. We know over the years, in the township you would find a bottle store, a spaza shop, or a taxi as a business that people in the township has. But we've seen that those businesses are not sustainable, and they are not helping with the economic growth of the areas. So we want to change that by bringing in all new ideas into the township. They could either be on, we do bioeconomy sectors, but we also have other sectors that we look at in the township. We also want to change the township from being the place where we just consume, but instead we want townships to be manufacturing hubs where actual product and services happens, and the economy of our areas would improve. We also want to ensure that Gauteng economy grows from the current GDP of 35% to even more, and create sustainable jobs. The last Stats SA report indicated that the unemployment rate is at 33.9. We believe that through our program, we should be able to reduce that to a very minimum level. In terms of what the Innovation Hub, the ECAC Lab program offers, number one, we host innovation stimulating activities in the townships. So in all our centers, you are likely to attend one of these activities. We have what we call startup weekends, where during startup weekends we invite communities to participate in startup weekends. They are being taught on how to innovate, how to build business models, and how to pitch their idea. At the same time, we also have what we call boot camps, which would be our one-day activities that our entrepreneurs would participate in to help them come up with innovative ideas. As an ECAC Lab program, we also have what we call Gauteng Accelerated Township Entrepreneur Competition, where our township-based entrepreneurs can enter a competition in order to receive seed funding to get their business going. Ma'am Sibahle indicated that we at Biopark they provide business advisory. We also we provide that as well. We facilitate access to finance with our partners. So we work very closely with finance partners to ensure that our guys are able to receive funding to further develop their product or to establish manufacturing facility. We also assist our company with accessing markets, and we do that through the market introductions, where we introduce them to the buyers. We assist them with market intelligence reports, and we take some of them to exhibitions such as this. So I think currently the ECASILEP program here, we've came with 10 companies that we support to get into this kind of space. They get exposure, they get the kind of network that would assist them to grow. So lastly, we provide them with infrastructure. Currently in Mamelodi in Pretoria, we have a food and bev facility that our SMMEs are able to use to manufacture their product. At the same time, our centers are co-sharing spaces with access to internet, so at any given point, our entrepreneur would walk into our spaces and then they'll be able to get access to a computer, get access to a meeting room, and be able to do their day-to-day research and admin. In terms of some of the challenges that you find when you work in a township, you find that we've got government entities that are operating that space only. So private sector is not coming on board. So you find that with the limited resources that budget government would have, sometimes it's impossible for our guys to get the support that they need. What we also find in our township is the level of education for the entrepreneurs that are in the township, which ultimately affects their ability to innovate, and also the business skills. So with that being said, we are still able to get innovations in the township, and we believe that innovations exist in the townships. Our entrepreneurs are not able to access funding, which is something that we are continuously working on to try and make them understand the process to accessing funding. So we've seen in a number of cases that our SMME are not able to keep records of their finance, which will be one of the key criteria in order to access funding from an external company. So we are introducing them to the skills to keep records. We are introducing them to producing financial reports, which funders are looking for. And now and again, we are able to help them get access to the necessary funding. The last one the last of the challenges is the issue of load sharing and load reduction in the township, which is a very big factor in most of our townships, because we know with the townships, we find that the electricity they don't pay. So the municipality, in order to manage their usage, they would introduce load reduction after load shedding. So we have a load shedding of 2 hours, they would add extra 3 hours as a load reduction. This affects our entrepreneurs, and they also affect the economies of these areas, because private sector investors, they would not want to get into a space where the load shedding there will be no electricity for 4 to 5 hours. So slowly we are hoping that entrepreneurs in the energy sector are able to come up with solutions that would assist in alleviating this and bring the highly needed growth in the townships. What we feel would help in the township, we believe that more private sector involvement in the township would result in better growth of the companies. We also believe that better coordination of government interventions could also help in terms of the development of companies. And we believe that by strengthening the ecosystem on SMME development and innovation, we could also be able to achieve as much as we want to achieve. So our role in general is to support and implement the Gauteng government strategy of growing Gauteng together. And I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sehoa. Powerful words that you've mentioned, that you exist so that you change township into manufacturing hubs. It's very important as an innovator to know where do you go for manufacturing, because manufacturing can be expensive, but if there are areas, there are places where you can go to for manufacturing, that also solve a problem. And the second thing that you've mentioned, it was supporting those companies in order for them to create sustainable jobs. Without wasting any time, I'd like to call Mr. Philip to come to the fore to share with us the challenges that are faced by entrepreneurs from the townships, and also how have you been supported? How have you grown, moved from point A to point B? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks for the opportunity. My name is Philip Seboza. I'm the founder of Rolikid. Rolikid was founded in 2017. That is after I've actually left the corporate world. In terms of my background, I'm from an engineering background where I've served as a sales engineer in the mining and also in the aluminium and gas industries. It was through the change of lifestyle that I found myself venturing into Rolikid, and it started when I was actually, after I've changed my lifestyle, I became a ultra marathon runner, where I did Comrades Marathon about 5 times in a row, and fortunately I managed to complete all the competition that I actually participated in. And it was there where I realized that there is a, thank you. It is there where I realized that there's a shortage of healthy beverages within the sporting fraternity, where, you know, we run all these distances. However, you know, there's very little that is available to replenish the nutrients that we actually lose whilst we doing it, actually from the preparation of the marathons and to actually the actual participation and also post-participation. So there's very little, so we end up consuming all sorts of products, you know, with the view that, you know, we'll actually replenish. However, that's not to be, and it actually saddens me that, you know, that trend is actually still continuing even now. And I spoke to one of my friends as I was coming here to this convention here in Durban, to say that I'm actually coming here again. It's actually a coincidence that it came at the same time as when Comrade Marathon was actually taking place. And I said, you know, there's a very disturbing trend which nobody actually pays attention to. You know, as much as everybody sees and aspires to running comrades and all those things, however, you know, the fact that there are people that are actually losing their lives after participating in these sports, it's not because of lack of fitness or anything like that. It's because the runners are actually malnourished, so they don't actually eat properly. And as a result, you know, we actually have this misconception that, you know, when you are an athlete and when you exercise, you know, you've got the license to consume anything. So, you know, you've got people who will actually come intoxicated because they're runners, and some of them, they've got flu. Say, no, kitchen, you know, you're thinking that, you know, when you run, you're actually feeling, it makes you to feel better, it makes you to be healthy. And also you find that even the sponsors of these programs, actually the companies that are supplying mainly those fizzy drinks, which mostly have got a lot of sugar, which are actually too acidic, and of which once the guys participate after taking them, you could actually tell somebody who just ran comrades, they can hardly walk. And now, because they think that, you know, it's supposed to be there, and they're coexisting with those problems, thinking that it's normal for you to suffer after running that distance. And, you know, since I've started Comrade, I changed my lifestyle in 2011, and I've actually I've moved into plant-based diet. Actually, I'm giving a background as to how this raw liquid was actually formed. And it was through change of lifestyle, then I adopted a plant-based diet where I lived on fruits and vegetables and, you know, nuts and legumes. I've cut out all the meat and types of meat. And, you know, the first question that you always get, where are you getting your protein from? Not knowing that, you know, there's actually all those types of minerals and vitamins that you get from the vegetables that, you know, your body can actually easily digest. It was through then that I actually even have to leave my running, because I actually even started a running club with the view of having to advise the athletes. However, because, you know, especially with, I would actually maybe say with actually black people, as much as, you know, we've always lived this type of lifestyle, which is now being given these names like, we are vegan, we are this and all those things, it's all, actually, we've actually been living that kind of lifestyle, but it's only now that those things are actually given these names. Now, what we've realized that we've actually changed the way we've actually grown up, with the way our forefathers and great-grandparents used to live, you know, of these fruits and vegetables. And it is now that, you know, we've adopted the Western lifestyle, and as a result, you know, we actually getting all these types of sicknesses that we are actually suffering with. Now, through the change of lifestyle now, you know, there was a problem now as to what am I going to consume, what am I going to eat, you know, wherever you go. Even now as I came to this conference, in all the hotels where we went, you know, I actually struggled. Before I could ever eat, there must be meetings with managers, you know, they have to send people to go and buy something, you know, to cater for me, you know, in all that. So it's actually settings that, you know, that is actually will take time before we can actually get it right. So I took it upon myself to say I will actually walk this journey, and I will actually introduce this type of lifestyle, and this is when Raw Liquid was actually founded. Started the company in 2017, and again, not knowing a lot of things about the regulatory requirements, you know, for you to actually be able to make the products, I thought, you know, I'll just get myself a juicer, bottle it, and start selling. And thanks to someone who actually introduced me to, that was actually one of the officials at Innovation Hub, Gauteng, whom I met at one of the exhibitions. So she told me that they'll be opening up a hub in Gauteng. That is when I actually received an SMS from her when they were going to have all the interviews for people to enter into the program. Enter the program, I think late 2018, and I think we signed the contract, you know, for being incubated in 2019. So it only came to an end at the end of March this year. Now, there were a lot of successes and challenges through the program, of which I'm hoping to actually assist the guys that are actually coming into the program, because I must say, also having worked in the corporate industry, understanding how the companies should be run, and understanding a lot of policy issues from the government side. So it actually helped me to be able to go through the program, and I must say I've actually got a lot of assistance through the SSP program. The initial one was the 50,000 grant that I received. That has actually helped me from using like a normal domestic machine that we use to juice. into getting a proper slow processing juice that was actually able to improve on the quality of the product that I'm actually making. And through that, I managed to get some of the machines like your blenders and also like the knives that, you know, that are required to actually be able to process the product. And then fast forward 2019, actually last year, towards the end of last year, that's when I actually received another grant of 250,000 that actually enabled me to actually get much bigger machines that is actually able to help us to actually upscale now. So, and now through that, I was actually able to get things like your air conditioners, of which now, which is something that I also didn't know in terms of the regulatory requirements that, you know, there's food safety standards that you have to meet. So of which I wish that all the guys that are actually starting up, those are the first thing when it comes to compliance is something that have to really be emphasized, because, you know, being a guinea pig into this, it has actually been a painful journey. However, because of the experience that I've got, so I managed to actually to pull through. One of the things that I didn't know, that you had to have your COA, like your certificate of acceptability, but you don't, no one tells you where to get it and the processes of getting that. I had to talk to so many people until eventually I found that, you know, I even went to the offices in town, like the municipal offices. So they actually referred me back to the township to say, no, you go to your local office, that is where you'll actually get assisted. So that is one of the things that I would really, really wish that, you know, it could be emphasized, especially with the guys that are starting, that they shouldn't go through what we went through. So fortunately, we managed to get our COO certification. Then I thought that, you know, all is done. Now the next thing, you know, there's HACCP, which is your food safety standard. And, you know, where you have manufacturing from, you have to operate at a certain temperatures. So therefore, you need things like your air cons, which through the SSP program, at least I managed to convert the facility and get the air cons going. And also the cold rooms, because even the produce that you use to manufacture, it has to be kept at certain temperatures. So we're able to actually get the cold room installed. And one of the things as well, because our product is sold frozen, now that helps with the shelf life. When it's frozen, it can last up to 6 months. However, once it's melted, like now, it must be used within 2 days. So we were able to get the blast freezer, which actually enables the product to actually be frozen into very low temperatures within a short space of time. So we are able to get that, and thanks again to the support that we received. Now that we thought everything is all done, and we've done with our, we also got assisted through the Kasi Lab in partnership with CEDA. We're able to get our products tested for nutritional value and the shelf life through SABS as well. And also another help that we received, so I was also allocated a mentor that actually had to take me now through the steps now. That is by the name of Sis Nompumelelo, which helped me very much. She was actually a former employee of SABS. She was also working in the department that deals with the testing of the products. And so through the mentorship that I received from Ekasi Lab, so she was actually, that is when we started to make progress in terms of the development of the product. So she also helped us with labeling as well, of which, you know, we thought that, you know, you can just put anything on the label as long as it looks good. So now, you know, we had to go through the labeling act with her. So it was like I went back to university where I actually had to learn everything about that compliance. So we were able to actually get our products labeled accordingly, because even now, though we got a place where we could distribute the product in Sentin, but now, you know, we put that address. So, you know, you were told, no, you have to put your own address where you're manufacturing from, which is in Vosloorus. And because my target market was people within the northern suburbs, I thought, you know, if I write Sentin, then it did augur well. So we had to go back to the township again. So we are proudly to say that the product, everything here, is manufactured from Vosloorus and packaged and branded. Everything even the designers from the township as well. Yeah. Lastly, we also had an opportunity where we could start to export the product to Germany. It was through a company called, GIZ, which is a German company. Now, they were actually looking for startups that could actually be taken to be on the exchange program where they could be linked to companies in Germany. I actually missed out on the last cut because the product was not fully organic. So, of which, you know, when I started, I didn't know anything about conventional farming, and then there's organic farming and all that. However, because they said, you know, that opportunity will be coming again, I had to take an initiative to approach the local schools, because when I did my research, I found that, you know, most farms that are doing organic farming, they are far from where I live, so which will actually won't augur well when it comes to the costing of the product. So I had to approach our local schools in Vosloorus, where I'm staying, so to actually utilize their land. So that is when we actually started planting some of the produce that we're actually using. We started with the vegetables. I would say maybe about 80% of what goes into the products, we actually plant it ourselves. So which has now taken me away from the production now, based on the challenges that Mr. James has alluded to, the issues of load shedding, which it has affected us dearly, considering that my product, it has to be frozen. And now, once it melts, you can't refreeze it again. It means that stock must be used up within 2 days, so you end up having to sell the stock at less than the cost price, you know, just to get rid of it. So those are some of the challenges that associated with actually being based in the township as well. So now, whilst we're trying to, we don't know how long we're going to have these challenges of the load shedding, and now the assistance that we received, we found that, you know, we still need to get more in a form of battery backups to say, when there's load shedding, how do I make sure that I don't lose all my stock because, you know, of the electricity issues like that. So whilst we're looking to move out of the township, not because we want to, but because of the current circumstances that we are actually faced with. So yeah, so the challenge is, as much as, you know, we always want to be positive and optimistic and not look on the negative side. So we're trying very hard to actually stay afloat, but the challenges are endless. However, we are happy that, you know, even though I'm now at the end of the incubation period, so now there's this program that is being started now in terms of the alumni, where we can actually still be able to work with the ECASI labs to actually take us further from where we are. On that note, I would actually like to leave it there, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Philip, for taking us through your product. It's amazing to see that in the midst of the challenges, but you've been able to arise in the midst of these challenges that you've highlighted. I've just taken a couple of things: the importance of partnership, where your product went through the stage of being tested, and the emphasis of the compliancy, how it is important that there is compliant in your product, and the support that you've received from ECASI Labs. And it's all about, we are talking about regional innovation strategies of Gauteng, and how innovation is being supported in that region. And we have come to the end of our program, and I know that it's been a long week, and but just one departing words from the panelists, just one word, your departing words, and then we will close the program. Thank you. I will start with you, Mr. Maslow, and then we go forward.
Thank you, Program Director. Thank you, Program Director. I am quite encouraged and seeing what is coming out of the work that is being done. And I just want to say that with more collaborations, we can actually make much more impact. So we just need to ensure that we aggregate as much as possible so that we can reach out to more entrepreneurs that have the solutions to the challenges that we are experiencing in the province and throughout the country. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Sibahle, and then we move forward in that manner.
Thank you, Chair. My departing words would be more to stakeholders. I think to, effectively support our entrepreneurs in the Gauteng region, we need to collaborate more, and we also need to create a coherent delivery model that will enable entrepreneurs to transition from one support mechanism to the other. So let's collaborate, and also to any young innovators in the bioeconomy space, please feel free to approach us. We are there to assist and help you take your products to the market. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think my departing words would be to say to the young people that are based in various townships, to say they must be on the lookout for the Innovation Hub and competitions that we are currently running. And they must enter those competitions because the Innovation Hub is open for business, and we are looking at them to come contribute to the growth of the Gauteng economy.
Thank you. Lastly, Philip.
In short, on that will be to say to the up-and-coming entrepreneurs is that believe in your product and stay focused. And to EcoSeleb, I would say, we need to bridge. There is a distant gap between the hub and the entrepreneurs. So we need to work together to close that gap, to make it entrepreneurs to actually find it easy for them to get into the space.
Wow. Thank you for those wonderful, powerful words. Stay focused. And without wasting any time, a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day and travel safely if you are traveling back home.